Hello, I'm Linda Lawrence Hunt, and I'm an author and the co-founder of the Krista Foundation for Global Citizenship and was a recent speaker at the Spokane Women's March. I've had requests that the presentation be on video, so we're doing a very informal video and want to say welcome to our home. Our 25-year-old daughter, Krista, saw firsthand the harsh inequities for women when she and her husband, Aaron, chose to volunteer in Bolivia. They were there on a 3-year assignment working in Bañado de la Cruz, a very remote river valley where women had very few human rights. 6 months into their 3-year assignment, 4 friends came to our door one morning to tell us there had been a terrible accident. The speeding bus they were in plunged over a cliff. Aaron and their puppy Choclo were thrown out at the top, and Krista, they were injured but alive, but Krista was killed. Our daughter's traumatic death, 7,000 miles away from home, brought us into a long pilgrimage of loss, taking years to figure out how in the world do you live with resilience and strength after profound loss. Why do I see this as relevant for today? This past election season has left many Americans feeling like we are in a time of loss and grief. After months of degrading and divisive political rhetoric, many illusions about our nation have now been shattered. As one young woman said, I feel a deep and disturbing sadness, almost a shame. For some, our national spirit, even the soul of our nation, feels threatened. Beginning today, we are living in unmarked territory, but distinguished by disturbing signs. It's a kind of liminal space. Now, liminal space is a threshold time, an in-between time. What has been is gone. What we trusted didn't hold, and where we are headed, the future, is unknown. It's often characterized, liminal spaces, by anxiety, fear, disillusionment, vulnerability, disorientation, and then maybe hardest, the waiting time. We've all experienced such seasons. It could have happened after losing a job that you valued, or an important relationship breaks up, or you get a medical diagnosis that is life-altering. But surprisingly, I also discovered some really good things that happen, even healing news, especially while talking with others who suffered a profound loss. For liminal space can also be a time that draws forth our deepest reserves of strength, determination, creativity, even adventure. Now, how could this be? I found that under all sorrow and loss is a wellspring of love that becomes a powerful source of positive energy, but only if we access it. It's a choice. A wellspring is defined as an inexhaustible source of something good, like the Spokane aquifer. I loved a sentence in the dictionary that described this as sadness is the wellspring of creativity. If we look at influential movements, we see how citizens have accessed their wellspring of love as a powerful, energizing force. Now, a wellspring of love does not mean kumbaya, where we just gloss over deep disagreements and we artificially cover them up. It's a love expansive enough to hold righteous anger, resolute resistance, and determined advocacy for just policies. For example, it was a sister's love and $200 that started the Susan G. Komen Foundation when a sister had lost her sister to breast cancer. It is now a $2.6 billion organization that has programs in over 60 countries. Think of Black Lives Matter, Sandy Hook Promise, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. All of these advocacy groups usually start out of people's deep belief in the value of every human's life. Our wellspring of love that draws us here today is our love for this great country. and for our democratic institutions, and for the ideal that all persons deserve human dignity. We want to send a clear message as campaign rhetoric threatens to become public policy. Our voices will not be silenced. We will find strength and determination from our deep love of our imperfect country. In the years ahead, to access full power and depth of this wellspring of love, we will need to keep our hearts open. I know how easily pain can cause us to shut our hearts. We can actually shrink in our world. But now is actually a crucial time to expand our circle of empathy. Fortunately, the wellspring offers enough room to genuinely and generously to hear alternative viewpoints from our own. The national narrative, fueled by our 24/7 breaking news, amplifies our fissures and our differences. We need to resist this rigid and dysfunctional stereotyping. The opening lines of Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities says, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times." Half of the nation, plus 2.9 I've heard today, million, say this is the worst of times. However, it feels important to understand that the other half of our nation see this very differently. They are placing keen hope that America will now emerge into better times for them. Because I wanted to understand citizens who see things very differently from me politically, I invited 3 women who I hold great respect for that are Republicans to come for tea. What are their hopes for our country? And where do we share common interests, values, and goals? We toasted to civil discourse and shared a fascinating 2 hours. We plan to meet again, expanding our circle of empathy to include more women from divergent political views. One action item that we could take is to start similar community conversations, drawing together with those who hold different views from our own. While living in liminal space, we founded the Krista Foundation for Global Citizenship in honor of our daughter. I've got to bring this. Moses Pillay, who was a board member from the Kenya Maasai tribe, shared the concept of becoming bridge crossers, not bridge builders. Building bridges or walls takes a lot of money and time. So instead, when forging a river, the Maasai use a simple pole to find a crossing. While walking a mile or so up the river, they test the water and the land until they find a shallow spot. And when discovered, the leader goes step by step across to new terrain. These community conversations could be our building bridge to new terrain. A simple step any of us could do to begin to better understand one another. It also offers us a chance to shatter the shrill political caricatures that polarize voters. To do this, we must end our own silence, however, the American unspoken code that we don't talk politics and religion. Instead, think of those who might welcome respectful discourse and dialogue and invite them to join you. If hundreds of such communities started around the country, we could begin step 1 to healing our nation. Let's see today's march as our first step of active energy in this time of liminal space. Then tomorrow, the next day, and in the long 4 years ahead, we must fiercely believe that our daily contributions are essential as citizens more than ever. Because Krista's husband kept an open heart and believed that the commitments he wanted to originally do still mattered, he returned to Bolivia for 4 more years. While there, he helped launch trust banks for women with microfinance loans. Surprised by joy, he met and married wonderful Gabriella. We now have 2 heart grandchildren, assurance that grand grace can happen even in liminal space. It's humbling to recognize that women from countries around the world, including Bolivia, are marching alongside of us today, wanting to give us courage. They exemplify the Irish concept. It is in the shelter of each other that the people live. So, with open hearts and bold spirited actions, let us draw courage from the inexhaustible wellspring we share for our beloved country, day by day, step by step. Thank you so much.